Neal Wilson, Seventh-day Adventists invite esoteric occultists to speak at ASI. That's what Neal Wilson joyfully wrote in the March 5, 1981 issue of Advent Review, in the From the President section in a report on ASI's annual national convention. In this report, it is also clearly stated that the hierarchical level of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination is similar to the system of the Roman Catholic Church. Advent Review. General Organ of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. March 5, 1981. From the President. Neal C. Wilson, President. General Conference. Cooperation and Interaction. I wish you could have heard the ASI President, Attorney Harold Lance, from Ontario, California, as he made an appeal to his fellow lay leaders and members of ASI. As I listened to his personal testimony of commitment to Christ and to the mission of the Church, it did something for my soul. He called upon his colleagues to join him in giving a thank offering for the benefit of some of the splendid endeavors such as the Health Van Ministry in New York City. This group gave approximately $100,000, and it seemed as though they did it with great ease and joy. I wish you could have listened to one soul-winning story after another by ASI members. The convention concluded with a banquet in which Robert Mueller, Associate Secretary of the United Nations, was the featured speaker. He is called the United Nations Prophet of Hope and has a vibrant and optimistic philosophy of life. His wife, Margarita, accompanied him, and they discovered that there is another universal and truly Catholic organization, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. If you ever get a chance to attend an ASI sectional meeting or national convention, I hope you will do so. It will electrify your soul, challenge your faith, and make you proud of the talents and spiritual stewardship of this unusual group that is representative of the large community of faith to which you and I belong. Everyone can have a look at who Robert Mueller and his wife Margarita are and with whom they are all connected. Everyone can see for themselves who the Seventh-day Adventists invite as keynote speakers at ASI, and the president of the Seventh-day Adventists, Neal Wilson, is proud of it. Here is the Worldwide Core Curriculum Manual by Robert Mueller. From the preface. The underlying philosophy upon which the Robert Mueller School is based will be found in the teachings set forth in the books of Alice A. Bailey, by the Tibetan teacher Djwal Khul, published by Lucas Publishing Company, and the teachings of M. Morya, as given in the Agni Yoga series books, published by Agni Yoga Society. Note: Robert Mueller has become known as the philosopher and prophet of hope of the United Nations. The curriculum won Mueller the UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, Prize for Peace Education in 1989. Agni Yoga, also known as Living Ethics, is an esoteric teaching that sees itself as a continuation of theosophy in the wake of Helena Blavatsky. It was founded by the Russian Helena Rurik and her husband, the painter Nicholas Rurik. The teaching is based on a book called Agni Yoga. Agni is the Sanskrit word for fire, which was written down by Helena Rurik between 1920 and 1940 and published by a Paris and a Riga publishing house. Rurik names the Brotherhood of Mahatmas of Shambhala, also known as the Masters of Wisdom, as the authors and states that the scripture was passed on to her by them. Do you see with whom the Seventh-day Adventists surround themselves, and what kind of spirit has taken hold there since 1931? Check out who Alice A. Bailey and Lucas Publishing Company is and to whom it all leads to. What is ASI? The president of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Neal Wilson, tells us this himself. Not long ago, my wife Eleanor and I spent a rewarding weekend in the Catskill Mountains of New York with a dynamic group of deeply spiritual brothers and sisters at their annual national convention. The group is known as ASI. Some of you know what these letters stand for, but everyone in the church should know about this organization, its objectives, and its relationship to the church. The letters stand for Adventist Layman Services and Industries. Their logo or motto is Labors Together with God. ASI was first organized in 1947 under the sponsorship of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. From a tiny beginning, it has grown to be an extremely strong and influential organization. The headquarters of ASI is in the General Conference office in Washington, and a unique relationship exists between ASI and the North American division of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The members of ASI, while representing independent endeavors, are, nevertheless, compatible with ethical, professional, financial, and spiritual standards established by the Church. They work in close harmony with pastors and conference administrators. This is what ASI says about itself. ASI, Adventist Laymen's Services and Industries. ASI is a membership-based organization of Seventh-day Adventist lay people who are enthusiastic about actively participating in the Church's worldwide mission to spread the gospel of Christ to the world. This unique and diverse group of members ranges from business owners to individual professionals to supporting ministries. In short, ASI members are Adventists from every walk of life. ASI membership is available to any Seventh-day Adventist church member in good standing who operates a business, provides a professional service, or operates a supporting ministry. We also welcome students and recent graduates who are just beginning their careers. Members may not receive any salary from any Seventh-day Adventist denominational organization. Only organizational nonprofit members may solicit or accept donations. An individual membership applies only to the designated person, not to any organizations he or she may be affiliated with, as these are subject to a different admission protocol. Multilevel marketers are not eligible for membership. Members of ASI wholeheartedly agree to order their lives and work according to the ASI objectives and principles outlined in the ASI mission and vision statements. Continued membership is contingent upon the member conducting their business or ministry in harmony with Seventh-day Adventist principles and personally remaining in good and regular standing with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Who is Robert Mueller? Here are some important points. Dr. Mueller spent the next 40 years of his life behind the scenes at the United Nations, focusing his energy on world peace. He rose through the ranks of the UN to the official post of Assistant Secretary General. He has been called the philosopher and prophet of hope of the United Nations. Robert Mueller is a deeply spiritual man. From his standpoint as a high-ranking representative of a global state, he has seen a strong connection between spirituality and the political cultural scene. Robert Mueller developed a world core curriculum and is known throughout the world as the father of global education. There are 29 Robert Mueller schools around the world, and more are founded every year. The World Core Curriculum earned him the UNESCO Peace Education Prize in 1989. Based on this curriculum and his devotion to good causes, Dr. Mueller has recently created a framework for world media coverage as a public service, as well as a framework for planetary and cosmic consciousness, and a framework for arts and culture. The United Nations Global Education Project is based on Robert Mueller's Global Core Curriculum. He was a former Assistant Secretary General of the UN. This generic core curriculum for the world was compiled in 1982 while Dr. Mueller was still at the UN. He was subsequently appointed Chancellor of the University for Peace, where he continued to promote his idea of a global education program. At an international education conference sponsored by the UN in 1989, Mueller said, "We need a new education system for the world. Global education, which is the education of learners in the universal home of the global village, is making good progress. But we should proceed beyond this point. We also need cosmic education, which is advocated by religious leaders such as Mary Montessori. We need a holistic educational system in which the relationship between our planet and the universe is taught." The core curriculum for the world is explicitly designed to promote multi-faith values. When Dr. Mueller and his followers speak of God, they are not referring to the Christian God of the Bible, but to an impersonal element of divinity that permeates all of creation. For them, the planetary dispensation is the dispensation of Aquarius, the future astrological dispensation of the New Age movement for harmony and unity on Earth, while the great prophets are the leaders or masters of wisdom of the various world religions. Mueller is an evolutionist who believes that humanity is on the verge of evolving into a new species. Although he calls himself Catholic, Muller's definition of Christ comes not from the Bible, but from the unbiblical teachings of people like occultist Alice A. Bailey, mystical Catholic Jesuit Teilhard de Chardin, and New Age leader Barbara Marx Hubbard. Because of his professed allegiance to their extremely unbiblical teachings, Muller's identification with Catholicism and Christianity is ultimately empty and very deceptive. While an inattentive world sees Mueller as a very pleasant and agreeable Christian statesman, he is in reality a New Age esoteric. Because of his particular reverence for Bailey and Chardin, Muller's references to Christ must be seen in their New Age context. The cosmic Christ of Bailey and Chardin is not the Christ of the Bible. Mueller says that the Hindus are right when they refer to the earth as God. This premise is also the foundation on which radical environmental movements are based. An ecological consciousness is the driving force behind the new approach to education. This view is not only held by Dr. Mueller, but also by America 2000 and other educational models aimed at achieving a new world order. It is obvious that the true goal of the educational reforms that Dr. Mueller and like-minded individuals are pushing has nothing to do with education in the academic sense of the word, but with values education in the philosophical, esoteric, and religious sense. The concepts he uses are derived from the writings of Alice A. Bailey. The preface to the World Core Curriculum of the Robert Mueller School clearly states, "The underlying philosophy upon which the Robert Mueller School is based will be found in the teachings set forth in the books of Alice A. Bailey by the Tibetan teacher Djwal Khul and the teachings of M. Morya as given in the Angi Yoga series books." Alice Bailey was a disciple of Helena P Blavatsky, an occultist and founder of the Theosophical Society, from which the New Age movement developed. Alice Bailey was a psychic channeler for an ascended master of wisdom called Djwal Khul, also known as the Tibetan. From a Christian perspective, she communicated with a demon. This is the work of the spirit of Antichrist, which is in direct opposition to the spirit of truth. It is obvious that an Antichrist foundation has been laid for education in the New World Order, with the ultimate plan being to unite the whole world under an Antichrist leader who is to be worshipped as Savior and God. Robert Mueller was also greatly influenced by Teilhard de Chardin. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a French Jesuit, paleontologist, anthropologist, and philosopher. And this is the kind of person the Seventh-day Adventists invite to ASI as a keynote speaker, someone who represents and enforces Catholic, Jesuit, esoteric, and occult views. Who is Alice A. Bailey? And what is Lucis Trust or Lucis Publishing Company? Alice Bailey was an English-American theosophist, esotericist, and author. She was the founder of the Arcane School and a number of other related organizations. After separating from her first husband, she came into contact with theosophy in 1915, and in the same year joined a lodge of the Udyar Theosophical Society, Udyar in Pacific Grove. Here she began to occupy herself with the teachings of theosophy, studying Helena Blavatsky's work The Secret Doctrine and Annie Besant's Study of Consciousness. After a short time, she gave theosophical lectures herself and moved to Hollywood at the end of 1917, as the headquarters of the American section of the Udyar was located in nearby Crotona near Ojai at the time, so that she could maintain closer contact with the headquarters. In 1922, she and her husband founded the Lucifer Publishing Company, where she published her books. After problems and misunderstandings arose due to the name Lucifer, which in the Christian tradition was equated with Satan, she changed the name to Lucis Publishing Company, or Lucis Trust Publishing Company, in 1924. It later became the holding organization Lucis Trust for a whole series of societies it had founded. Lucis is just another name for Lucifer, translated in the theosophical tradition as bringer of light, so it was meant positively and gave less cause for criticism. In 1932, Bailey founded the organization World Goodwill movement or group of world servers, according to her statement on the instructions of Djwal Khul, a master of wisdom. The triangles followed in 1937, with all organizations working under the umbrella of the Lucis Trust. Everyone can form their own conclusions about Lucis Trusts and Helena P Blavatsky if they wish. Hopefully, this will open the eyes of some more people to the kind of people Seventh-day Adventists surround themselves with, listen to, and have as keynote speakers at the ASI National Convention. The same pattern can be seen at the Congress Adventism and Catholicism in a Changing World. Can they learn from each other? By Reinder Bruinsma, which was held on October 12, 2024. You can watch the videos in the corresponding playlist. If sin has already spread like a cancer throughout the entire organization, there is unfortunately nothing more that can be done. You can only leave this organization or denomination. Hence the loud cry of Revelation 18 verse 4 to 5. Only in small home groups can you pay attention to the teaching, and there is no hierarchy, which Jesus Christ also rejected in Matthew 20. In a home group or a home church, you don't have to become a member, but everyone is there completely voluntarily. Just as we see throughout the Bible, the apostles also only founded home churches. On the subject of the church, there will be a separate Bible study. The Bible clearly warns us that we should not have fellowship with unbelievers. And all Sunday keepers worship the sun and thus break the entire first stone tablet of the 10 Commandments. The first stone tablet contains the first 4 commandments. And the Sabbath commandment is the 4th commandment. It is a bridge commandment which contains the double commandment of love. The seventh-day Sabbath begins on Friday evening at sunset and lasts until Saturday evening at sunset. Every denomination has become a synagogue of Satan, for there the commandments and statutes of men are followed, and not the commandments of our Creator and Redeemer. There men are the head and not the true Jesus Christ. Church manuals and statutes rule there instead of the Bible.
Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them, and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities.
Anyone who remains a member of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination will go down with the prison ship on which he has glued and chained himself. Anyone who still remains a member of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination should rather join the Roman Catholic Church. Then at least they are honest and do not lie to themselves. Hear the loud cry and leave the completely apostate Seventh-day Adventist denomination and come to the true Jesus Christ. For only He can save you. Act quickly before your probation will be closed. Everyone who belongs to the people of our Creator and Redeemer will hear the loud call and obediently follow it and will leave spiritual Babylon.